Hannah's head hurt badly. She opened her eyes slowly and saw strange blue light coming from above. The air smelled wrong, like metal and something rotten. She tried to move her arms, but they felt heavy and slow. "Where am I?" she whispered. The last thing she remembered was the attack on Mars Station. Giant ships had appeared in the sky without warning. They were black and covered with spikes like angry metal monsters. The ships had destroyed everything in minutes. Hannah was a soldier in the Earth Defense Corps. She had tried to fight back with her team, but their weapons did nothing against the alien ships. Now, she was somewhere else. Somewhere very far from home. Hannah sat up and looked around. She was in a small room made of clear blue crystal. The walls were smooth and cold when she touched them. Outside her crystal prison, she could see a long hallway with more crystal rooms. Some were empty, others had strange creatures inside them. In the room across from hers was something that looked like a giant spider with too many eyes. It was sitting very still in the corner. Next to that was a room with a creature that had green skin and 4 arms. It was sleeping against the wall. "So you are awake," said a voice. Hannah jumped and looked around. She could not see who was talking. Then, a door in the hallway opened with a soft hiss. Something walked toward her room. The creature was taller than any human, maybe 8 feet high. It had rough gray skin that looked like stone. 4 long arms hung from its wide shoulders. Its head was flat and snake-like, with yellow eyes that had no white parts. When it moved, Hannah could hear its claws clicking on the metal floor. "I am Commander Vekvar," the creature said. Its voice came from a small box on its chest, not from its mouth. The words sounded strange, like a computer was trying to copy human speech. "You are on my ship. You are my prisoner." Hannah stood up and faced the creature. Her legs shook a little, but she tried to look brave. "What do you want with me?" The creature made a sound like rocks grinding together. Hannah realized it was laughing at her. We want nothing from your kind, little human. You are weak. Your weapons are toys. Your ships break like glass. We destroyed your colonies in 1 day. Vekvar moved closer to the crystal wall. "But you will be useful for something." "What are you talking about?" "Entertainment." The creature's yellow eyes seemed to glow brighter. "You will fight in the grand arena on our home world. The whole empire will watch you die. It will be very funny for them." Hannah felt cold fear in her stomach. "Fight what? Other prisoners? Wild beasts? Our greatest warriors?" Vekvar made the grinding laugh sound again. 3 of your kind have fought in the arena before. They all died very quickly. The crowds loved it. Humans make good jokes." The creature turned and started walking away. Hannah hit the crystal wall with her fist. "Wait. What happened to Earth? What about the other colonies?" Vekvar stopped and looked back at her. "Your home world still fights, but it will fall soon. We have destroyed 37 worlds before yours. They all thought they could win." The creature shrugged with all 4 arms. "They were all wrong. You're lying. Why would I lie to something that will be dead in a few days?" Vekvar walked away down the hallway. "Rest well, little human. You will need your strength for the arena." The door closed with a soft hiss. Hannah was alone again. She sat down on the floor and put her head in her hands. Earth was still fighting. That meant some people were still alive. Her brother Junho worked at the defense headquarters in Seoul. Maybe he was okay. Maybe the Earth forces had found a way to fight back. But 3 humans had already died in this arena. These creatures thought humans were weak and funny. They had destroyed 37 other worlds. How could Earth fight something like that? Hannah looked at her hands. They were shaking. She made them into fists and squeezed until they stopped shaking. She was a soldier. She had trained for 8 years to protect Earth and its colonies. She would not give up now. Over the next few hours, more creatures came to look at her. They were all different. Some had fur, others had scales or hard shells, but they all made the same sounds when they saw her laughter. They thought she was funny. One creature looked like a giant bird with 4 wings. It spoke to another creature in a language that sounded like singing. The translation box made their words into English. Is this really one of the humans? The bird creature asked. Yes, very small, very weak, perfect for the arena. It looks so soft. How did they even build ships? No one knows, but their ships break easily. They walked away, still making laughing sounds. A few hours later, a different door opened in her crystal room. A small robot rolled in carrying a tray of food and water. The food looked like grey paste, but it tasted better than it looked. The water was clean and cold. While she ate, Hannah thought about what she had learned. These creatures were called something that sounded like Velthak when they talked to each other. They had conquered many worlds. They were taking her to their home planet to fight in some kind of arena. But they had made one mistake. They thought humans were weak and stupid. They thought she would be easy to kill. Hannah finished eating and lay down on the hard floor. The blue light above her never changed, so she could not tell if it was day or night. But she was tired, and she needed to rest. As she closed her eyes, she thought about her training. Her instructor, Sergeant Kim, had always said the same thing. Your enemy's biggest weakness is when they think you are weak. Maybe these Velthak creatures were about to learn that lesson. Hannah fell asleep, thinking about home, about Junho, and about the fight that was coming. She did not know what waited for her in the arena. But she knew one thing for sure. She was not going to die like the other humans had. Not without showing these creatures what humans could really do. The ship flew through the darkness of space, carrying its cargo of prisoners toward the arena world. In her crystal cell, Hannah slept and dreamed of Earth. 3 days later, Hannah felt the ship shaking. Through the crystal walls, she could hear loud noises, metal groaning, and engines changing their sound. They were landing somewhere. Get ready, human commander, Dekvar said as he walked past her. Cell, we have arrived at Velthara Prime, your new home. The ship landed with a heavy thud that made Hannah fall against the wall. Soon after, the crystal door of her cell opened. 2 Velthak guards stood outside. They were smaller than Vekvar, but still much bigger than Hannah. Both carried long metal sticks that sparked with electricity. Come, one guard said through his translation box. Move slowly. Try to run and we will hurt you. Hannah walked out of her cell. The hallway was full of other prisoners being led in the same direction. She saw the spider creature from across the hall. It moved on 8 legs and kept making clicking sounds. The green 4-armed creature was there too, walking with heavy steps. They were all taken to a large room with windows. Hannah looked outside and gasped. The city spread out below them was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Tall buildings stretched up into red clouds. Flying vehicles moved between the buildings like metal birds. But what made Hannah stop and stare was the arena. It sat in the center of the city like a giant metal crown. It was round and silver, with tall walls that reached up toward the sky. Even from far away, Hannah could see thousands of tiny windows built into those walls. Each window was a seat for someone to watch the fights. Beautiful, is it not? Said a new voice. Hannah turned around. A creature was standing next to her, but this one was different from the Velthak. It looked almost human, but its skin was blue, and it had large black eyes. It was tall and thin, wearing simple grey clothes like the ones Hannah had been given. Amnathara, the creature said. I have been in the arena for 2 years. I wanted to meet you before, ... Before what? Before you die. Nethera's voice was sad, but not mean. I heard you are human. I have seen humans fight before. They do not last long. The guards pushed them forward. They left the ship and walked down a long metal ramp. The air outside smelled different, thicker and warmer than Earth air. The red sun in the sky felt strange on Hannah's skin. They were loaded into large trucks with metal cages. As the trucks drove through the city, Hannah could see aliens of many different types walking on the streets. Some had fur, others had scales. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6 or 8. But they all stopped to point and laugh when the trucks went by. They know we are going to the arena, Nethera explained. She was sitting next to Hannah in the truck cage. Prisoners always travel this way. The people like to see us before we fight. How long have you been fighting? Hannah asked. 2 years. 43 fights. Nethera touched a long scar on her arm. I am still alive because I give the crowd what they want. I make my fights look exciting. I get hurt but not killed. The crowd likes that. What about him? Hannah pointed to another prisoner in their truck. It was huge, at least 10 feet tall, and covered with thick brown fur. It had 6 arms and claws like knives. That is Brixtel. He has fought for 5 years. Over 100 fights. He is very good at staying alive. Nethera lowered her voice. He also knows how to kill quickly when he needs to. The truck stopped at a massive gate built into the arena's outer wall. Guards opened the cages and pushed the prisoners out. They were led through dark tunnels under the arena. The tunnels were old and dirty. Water dripped from the ceiling. Hannah could hear sounds from above, thousands of voices talking and laughing. They came to a large room filled with metal cages. Each prisoner was put into their own cage. Hannah's cage was small, but had a bed and a place to wash. There was also a small window that looked out into the tunnels. Welcome to the gladiator pens, said a Velthic guard. This is where you will live until you fight. If you win your first fight, you get better food and a bigger cage. If you lose, ... double quotes, the guard made the grinding laugh sound. Well, dead fighters do not need cages. After the guards left, the prisoners began talking to each other through the cage bars. Human Brixtel called out in a deep, rough voice. Come here. Hannah walked to the side of her cage closest to his. Up close, the big creature was even more frightening. His claws were as long as Hannah's fingers. His teeth looked like they could bite through metal. I knew the other humans who fought here, Brixtel said. They were brave, but stupid. They fought like they were still fighting other humans. That does not work here. What do you mean? Human weapons are for killing from far away, yes. Bang bang, shoot from hiding. Brixtel showed his claws. Here, you fight close. You look in your enemy's eyes when they die. Your guns will not help you. They give us weapons, yes, but not good ones. Old weapons, broken weapons. Weapons that look dangerous but do not work well. Brixtel sat down heavily in his cage. The Velthak want fair fights. They think fair means giving weak creatures weak weapons. Nethera spoke up from her cage. Not listen to him. Human, there are good weapons if you know how to choose. I can teach you. That night, Hannah could not sleep. Above her, she could hear the crowd getting ready for tomorrow's fights. Their voices were loud and excited. They were talking about betting on which fighter would die first. A guard came by with food. It was better than the paste on the ship. Some kind of meat and vegetables. While Hannah ate, she listened to the other prisoners talking. The new human looks weak, one said. All humans are weak. Remember the last one? Dead in 30 seconds. I bet this one lasts even less time. They were all laughing about it. After they were quiet, Hannah lay on her hard bed and stared at the ceiling. Tomorrow, someone would try to kill her in front of thousands of aliens who thought it would be funny to watch her die. But Hannah remembered something else. Her instructor had taught her, when everyone thinks you will lose, Sergeant Kim had said, that is when you have the biggest advantage. They will not be ready for what you can really do. Hannah closed her eyes and started planning. She thought about everything she had learned about fighting, everything she knew about weapons, everything she had observed about these aliens, and how they thought by morning she had made her decision about what weapon to choose. It was going to surprise everyone. Hannah woke up to loud noises coming from above. The crowd was already gathering in the arena. Today was fight day. A guard came to her cage, carrying a set of armor. It was made of black metal pieces that looked old and dented. Some parts were missing. Other parts did not fit together properly. Put this on, the guard said. Then you choose your weapon. Hannah put on the armor. It was heavy and uncomfortable. The chest piece was too big and the arm guards were too small. She could barely move her shoulders. This was not real protection, it was just for show. Ready, human. Brixtel called from his cage. Remember what I told you. Fight close and fight smart. Good luck, Nathara said quietly. Try to make it. Look exciting. The crowd loves excitement. 2 guards came and opened Hannah's cage. They walked her through the tunnels to a room filled with weapons. The room was long and dark, with weapons hanging on every wall. There were swords and spears. And axes. There were also some energy weapons that glowed with different colors. An old Velthak stood in the middle of the room. He had scars all over his gray skin and was missing one eye. I am Gektar, the weapon master, he said. Choose what you will die with today. Hannah walked slowly around the room. She looked at each weapon carefully. Most of them were in bad condition. The swords had chips in their blades. The spears had loose heads that wobbled. The energy weapons flickered like they might stop working at any moment. But there was one weapon that caught her attention. It was hanging by itself in a corner, a simple plasma rifle. It looked newer than the other weapons. When Hannah picked it up, she could tell it had been well cared for. The power cell was almost full. The targeting system worked properly. That one, Gektar sounded surprised. You want the rifle? Yes. Most fighters choose blade weapons. Swords and spears and axes. Those are weapons for warriors. The weapon master made a clicking sound with his tongue. Rifles are for cowards who fight from far away. This is what I want, Hannah said firmly. Gektar shrugged with all 4 arms. It is your choice, but the crowd will not like it. They want to see real fighting, not hiding and shooting. Hannah was taken to a small room near the arena entrance. Through the thick door, she could hear the crowd getting louder and more excited. The sound was like ocean waves crashing, but made of voices instead of water. A different guard brought her some water and a piece of bread. Eat, he said. You will need strength for the arena. Not that it will help you live longer. While Hannah ate, she could hear the announcer talking to the crowd. His voice was so loud, it shook the walls. She could not understand all the words, but she heard her name mentioned several times. Each time, the crowd made loud laughing and booing sounds. They are telling everyone about you, the guard explained. About how weak humans are. About how the last 3 humans died so quickly. The betting is very popular today. What are the odds? Hannah asked. 50,000 to 1, against you living through the fight. The guard laughed. Some people bet even worse odds. No one thinks you will last 1 minute. The door opened and Commander Vekvar walked in. He looked at Hannah sitting in her broken armor, holding her plasma rifle. Are you ready to die for our entertainment, little human? I'm ready to fight, Hannah said. Same thing. Vekvar moved closer. Your opponent today is special. Gorthmak the Render. He has never lost a fight in the arena. 47 victories. He has killed fighters from 17 different worlds. Hannah said nothing. He is 4 times your size and twice your strength. His skin is like armor. His weapons can cut through metal. He has cybernetic parts that make him even stronger. Vekvar leaned down so his snake-like face was close to Hannah's. But do not worry, he will kill you quickly. It will not hurt for long. The commander left, laughing his grinding laugh. Finally, a horn sounded 3 times. The guard opened the door. Time to go, human, time to die. Hannah walked through a long tunnel, toward a bright light at the end. The sound of the crowd got louder, and louder with each step. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. She thought about Earth. She thought about her brother, Junho. She thought about all the humans who had died when the Velthak attacked their worlds. She stepped out of the tunnel and into the arena. The noise hit her like a physical force. 2 million voices screaming and cheering and laughing all at once. The arena was bigger than anything Hannah had ever seen. It was like standing inside a giant metal bowl that stretched up to the sky. Every seat was filled with aliens of different shapes and sizes. They were all looking down at her and pointing and laughing. Giant screens around the arena showed her face, making her look small and afraid. Other screens showed numbers, the betting odds, her vital signs, information about her species. All the information made humans sound weak and stupid, high above. In a golden box that glittered in the arena lights sat Emperor Velkar himself. He was the biggest Velthek Hannah had ever seen, covered in jewels and wearing a crown that looked like it was made of stars. Even from far away, she could see his yellow eyes watching her. The announcer's voice boomed across the arena. Citizens of the Empire, today we have special entertainment. A human, one of the weakest species in the galaxy, thinks it can fight in our arena. The crowd roared with laughter. This soft creature believes its little energy stick will save it from death. The announcer's voice got even louder. But we know better. We have seen 3 humans die already. This one will die even faster. More laughter and cheering. But first, let us bring out the champion. The undefeated, the unstoppable, Gorthmak, the Render. A gate on the opposite side of the arena opened. Something huge walked out into the light. Gorthmak was a giant even among the Velthak. He stood almost 13 feet tall and was covered in natural armor plates that looked like black stone. But parts of his body had been replaced with cybernetic machines that glowed with red light. His left arm was completely mechanical, ending in claws that sparked with electricity. His right eye had been replaced with a targeting system that moved. And focused like a camera, he carried 2 energy blades that hummed with power. Each blade was as long as Hanel was tall. When he moved them through the air, they left trails of burning light. The crowd went wild. They chanted his name over and over. Gorthmak, Gorthmak. The giant gladiator walked to the center of the arena and began his victory display. He swung his energy blades in complex patterns, creating beautiful and deadly light shows. He roared challenges in his own language that made the crowd cheer even louder. Hannah walked slowly to her position, plasma rifle ready. On the giant screens, she could see the betting numbers changing. Now, it was 75,000 to 1 against her. Some bets were even higher. The Emperor stood up in his golden box. The crowd became quiet. He raised one clawed hand high in the air. This was it. When his hand dropped, the fight would begin. Hannah looked at Gorthmak, who was staring at her with his one real eye and his mechanical targeting system. She looked at her plasma rifle. Then she did something that no one expected. She bent down and carefully placed the rifle on the ground. She stood up and stepped back from it, raising both hands in the air. The crowd's silence turned into confused murmuring, and the murmuring turned into the loudest laughter yet. Emperor Velkar's hand was still raised, but now he was leaning forward, curious about what was happening. The announcer's voice crackled with amusement. The human surrenders. Before the fight even begins, even weaker than we thought. But Hannah wasn't finished. She looked up at the Emperor's box and spoke in a clear, loud voice that the arena's microphones picked up and broadcast to the entire crowd. I don't surrender. I simply don't need a weapon to kill him. The laughter got even louder. Even Gorthmak was chuckling, a sound like rocks grinding together. Emperor Velkar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. This was going to be even more entertaining than he had hoped. He dropped his hand. The fight began. Gorthmak looked at the small human standing in front of him. She had put down her weapon and was now standing with empty hands. In 47 fights, no opponent had ever done something like this. Most fighters tried to attack him immediately, hoping to get lucky with a fast strike. Others tried to run and hide behind the arena's rock formations. But this human just stood there, looking calm. The crowd was laughing so hard that some aliens were falling out of their seats. On the giant screens, betting numbers kept changing as more people put money on how quickly the human would die. The shortest bet was now 5 seconds. What is she doing? Emperor Velkar asked one of his advisors. I believe she has gone mad from fear, my lord. The advisor replied. Some creatures cannot handle the stress of the arena. Their minds break. The Emperor leaned forward in his throne. Interesting. I have never seen a creature give up before being touched. Continue the match. Gorthmak started walking toward Hannah. He was in no hurry. The crowd wanted a good show, and killing her too quickly would disappoint them. He would play with her first, maybe scare her a little, then end it with a dramatic finishing move. His energy blades hummed as he swung them slowly through the air. The crowd cheered each movement. They loved watching him perform. "Little human," Gorthmak said in his deep, rumbling voice, "why do you give up your weapon? Do you think I will show you mercy?" Hannah said nothing. She just watched him walk closer. "I have killed 3 of your kind before," the giant continued. "They all screamed when they died. Will you scream too?" Still, Hannah remained quiet, but her eyes were moving, looking at everything around her. She noticed how Gorthmak walked heavy steps that shook the ground. She saw how his cybernetic arm moved more slowly than his real arm. She watched the way his mechanical eye focused and refocused as it tracked her movement. Most importantly, she saw something the crowd could not see from their seats. Scattered around the arena floor were pieces of metal and stone from previous fights. The arena workers had cleaned up the big pieces, but small fragments remained. Sharp pieces, heavy pieces, pieces that could be used as weapons. Gorthmak was now only 20 feet away from her, close enough that she could smell his breath, which was like hot metal and rotting meat. "Last chance, human," he said, raising both energy blades above his head. "Beg for mercy, make it entertaining for the crowd." Hannah finally spoke. Her voice was steady and clear. "You talk too much." The giant gladiator's face twisted with anger. How dare this weak creature insult him? The crowd gasped with excitement. Finally, some drama. Gorthmak brought his energy blades down in a powerful strike that would have cut Hannah in half. The crowd held its breath, waiting to see the human's blood. But Hannah was not there. She had moved at the last possible second, rolling to her left just as the blades came down. The crowd was confused. How had such a small creature moved so fast? What they did not know was that Hannah had trained her whole life for moments like this. Earth's gravity was stronger than the gravity on this world. What felt like normal movement to her looked incredibly quick to everyone else as she rolled. Hannah's hand closed around a piece of sharp metal that had been lying on the arena floor. It was jagged and about the size of her palm. Not much of a weapon, but it would have to do. Gorthmak turned around, surprised that his strike had missed. His mechanical eye spun as it tried to locate the human. "Lucky," he growled. "But luck will not save you twice." He swung his blades in wide arcs, trying to cut Hannah no matter which direction she moved. But again, she was not where he expected her to be. She had rolled under his swing and was now behind him. The crowd was getting confused. This was not how fights usually went. Humans were supposed to be slow and clumsy. They were supposed to die quickly. Gorthmak spun around, but Hannah was already moving again. She jumped onto a pile of rocks, then leaped to another piece of arena debris. Her movements were controlled and precise, like a dancer who knew exactly where each step would land. "Stop running, coward," Gorthmak roared. "Fight me." The crowd began to boo. They wanted to see blood, not a chase scene. Some aliens started throwing trash into the arena. But Emperor Velkar was not bored. He was watching very carefully. This human was different from the others. She moved with purpose. Every jump, every roll, every step was planned. "Advisor," the Emperor said quietly. "How long has this fight been going?" 30 seconds, my lord." 30 seconds. The longest any human had lasted was 25 seconds, and that one had spent most of the time running away, screaming. This human had not made a single sound of fear. Gorthmak was getting angry. His cybernetic systems were overheating from all the quick movements he was making to try to catch the human. Warning lights were blinking red on his mechanical arm. He decided to end this game. He activated his targeting system and fired energy bolts from his cybernetic arm. The bolts were fast and accurate, designed to hit moving targets. But Hannah had been watching his targeting system. She saw the way it moved and focused before firing. When the red laser dot appeared on her chest, she was already diving away. The energy bolt hit the arena wall behind her, leaving a smoking crater in the metal. The crowd was getting restless. This was not entertaining. This was frustrating. "Kill her already," someone shouted. "What are you waiting for? yelled another voice. Gorthmak's pride was hurt. He was the greatest gladiator in the Empire, and he could not even hit one small human. His anger was making him sloppy. His attacks became wilder and less controlled. That was exactly what Hannah had been waiting for. She stopped running and stood still in the center of the arena. Gorthmak saw his chance and charged toward her, both energy blades ready for a killing. Strike! The crowd cheered. Finally, the human had given up running. Finally, they would see her die. But as Gorthmak got closer, Hannah did something no one expected. Instead of trying to dodge away from him, she ran straight toward him. The giant gladiator was so surprised that he hesitated for just a moment. That moment was all Hannah needed. She slid between his legs like a baseball player sliding into home base. As she passed under him, she struck upward with the sharp piece of metal in her hand. The metal found the gap between his armor plates. Right at the back of his knee joint. It was not a deep cut, but it hit exactly the right spot. Gorthmak's leg gave out. He crashed to the arena floor with a sound like thunder. The crowd went silent. Their champion was down, but Hannah was not finished. As Gorthmak tried to get back up, she was already moving. She used his own body as a ladder, climbing up his back while he struggled to stand. "Get off me," he roared, trying to reach her with his mechanical arm, but Hannah was too fast and too small. She reached the base of his skull, where his natural neck met his cybernetic implants. She knew from watching him that this was where his control systems connected to his brain. She pressed her fingers against the neural connection point and pushed hard. Gorthmak's cybernetic systems began to spark and smoke. His mechanical arm stopped working. His targeting system went dark. The giant gladiator swayed like a tree about to fall. The crowd was completely silent now. No one was laughing anymore. Gorthmak fell forward and did not get up again. Hannah stood over his still body, breathing hard, but alive. She looked up at the Emperor's box, then at the crowd of 2 million aliens who had been laughing at her just minutes ago. No one was laughing now. The silence stretched on and on. Then, slowly, aliens began leaving their seats. First a few, then dozens, then hundreds. They were not running away in fear. They were leaving because they did not want to see what would happen next. Something had just changed in the galaxy. The humans were not weak after all, and now everyone knew it. The arena was quiet for a long moment. 2 million aliens stared down at the impossible scene. Gorthmak, the render, who had never lost a fight, lay still on the arena floor. Standing over him was a small human who was supposed to have died in the first few seconds. Emperor Velkar slowly stood up from his golden throne. His yellow eyes were fixed on Hannah. In all his years ruling the Empire, he had never seen anything like this. "How long did that take?" he asked his advisor. The advisor checked his timing device with shaking hands. 14 seconds, my lord. From the time she moved until Gorthmak fell, 14 seconds. The Emperor thought about this number. 3 previous humans had lasted 25, 18, and 12 seconds respectively. But those humans had spent their time running away and screaming. This human had spent 14 seconds hunting and killing the greatest gladiator in the Empire. Down in the arena, Hannah was still breathing hard. She looked around at all the aliens staring at her. Many were leaving their seats now, heading for the exits. Others were sitting frozen in shock. Some were pointing at her and talking in excited whispers. But what caught Hannah's attention was the Emperor himself. He was staring right at her, and she could see something new in his expression. Not amusement, not cruelty. Fear. Hannah looked directly up at the royal box. Then she did something that made the remaining crowd gasp. She drew her finger slowly across her throat in the universal gesture that meant death. The message was clear. "You're next." Several of the Emperor's guards took steps backward. Some of the alien dignitaries in the royal box began making excuses to leave. They had come to watch a human die for their entertainment. Instead, they had seen their greatest champion defeated by what they thought was the weakest species in the galaxy. Emperor Velkar sat back down heavily. "Bring her to me," he said quietly. My lord? His advisor asked, not sure he had heard correctly. I said, bring the human to me. I want to speak with her. Guards surrounded Hannah as she walked off the arena floor. But they kept their distance. They had just watched her kill Gorthmak with her bare hands. None of them wanted to get too close. As they escorted her through the tunnels under the arena, Hannah could hear the sounds of chaos from above. Aliens were leaving the arena in large groups. Others were arguing loudly. The betting systems had crashed because no one knew how to handle what had just happened. In the gladiator pens, the other prisoners were watching through their cage bars. As Hannah was led past, Impossible Brickstool whispered, his 6 arms gripping the metal bars. Gorthmak has never been defeated. How did she do it? Asked another prisoner. Nethera was quiet for a moment, then spoke in a thoughtful voice. She fought like a human, not like us. We have all been trying to fight the way the Velthak want us to fight, with honor and strength and big weapons. But humans fight to win. The guards took Hannah up through the arena to the royal levels. The hallways here were made of gold and silver. Instead of plain metal, expensive artwork from conquered worlds lined the walls. Everything was designed to show the power and wealth of the empire. They entered a large room where Emperor Velkar was waiting. He had removed his crown and was sitting in a simple chair instead of his throne. For the first time, he looked like just another Velthak instead of a god-emperor. Leave us, he told the guards. My lord, are you sure that is wise? Asked the captain of the guard. She has no weapons. I have 20 guards outside the door, and ... The emperor looked at Hannah carefully. I think she wants to talk as much as I do. The guards left reluctantly. Closing the heavy door behind them, Emperor Velkar and Hannah stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, the emperor spoke. You are not what we thought you were. No, Hannah replied simply. We're not. My scientists told me that humans were weak. That your species could barely build ships that worked. That you had no fighting ability. The emperor stood up and walked to a large window that looked out over the city. They were wrong, weren't they? Very wrong. Gorthmak was our greatest warrior. He had cybernetic enhancements that made him stronger than any natural creature. He had 47 victories in the arena. And you killed him in 14 seconds with a piece of scrap metal. Hannah said nothing. If one human can do that, the emperor continued, what can a million humans do? What can a billion humans do? You attacked our worlds, Hannah said. You destroyed our colonies. You killed millions of innocent people. Did you think we would just give up? The emperor turned back to face her. Yes, that is exactly what we thought. Every other species we have conquered gave up after we destroyed a few of their worlds. They surrendered rather than face total destruction. Humans don't surrender, so I am beginning to understand. The emperor walked back to his chair and sat down. Tell me about Earth. Is your home world still fighting? Yes. Are they winning? Hannah thought about this question. When she had been captured, Earth's defenses were failing. The Velthok ships had been destroying everything in their path. But that was before the galaxy knew what humans were really capable of. They will be, she said finally. The emperor nodded slowly. I believe you. Do you know what is happening right now, as we speak? Hannah shook her head. News of your victory is spreading across the Empire's communication networks. Every world that we have conquered is hearing the story of how a single human killed our greatest champion. Do you know what that means? It means they have hope. Exactly. The Emperor stood up again and began pacing. For the first time in decades, the species we have enslaved have hope. They are remembering that their conquerors can be defeated. Rebellions will start on 100 worlds. My fleet commanders are already sending me urgent messages about uprisings. Beginning, the Emperor stopped pacing and looked directly at Hannah. You have done something in 14 seconds that no army has accomplished in 50 years. You have shown the entire galaxy that the Velthic Empire can bleed. Good, Hannah said. Is it? What do you think happens now? Do you think I can just let you go free? Do you think I can allow you to return to Earth and tell them what you have learned about us? Hannah had been thinking about this since the moment she defeated Gorthmak. The Emperor was right, he could not let her go. But she had accomplished something more important than her own freedom. "It doesn't matter what you do to me now," she said. "Everyone saw what happened. Everyone knows that humans can fight. The galaxy will never be the same." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. Not the cruel smile he had shown in the arena, but something that looked almost like respect. "You are correct," he said. "The galaxy will never be the same, and neither will the war between our peoples." He walked to his desk and pressed a button. The guards came back into the room. "Take her back to the gladiator pens," he ordered. "But give her the champion's quarters, she has earned them." As the guards escorted her away, the Emperor called out one last time, "Human, what is your name?" "Lieutenant Hannah Yoon of the Earth, Defense Corps." "Lieutenant Hannah Yoon," the Emperor repeated slowly. "That name will be remembered across the galaxy. I hope you understand what you have started." "I understand perfectly," Hannah replied. "And my people will finish it." As she was led away, the Emperor sat alone in his room and thought about the future. The Velthak Empire had ruled through fear and the belief that they were unbeatable. But, in 14 seconds, one small human had shattered that belief. On distant worlds, enslaved species were already whispering the name Hannah and planning their own rebellions. Earth's defenders would fight harder now that they knew their enemies could be defeated. The war that the Velthak thought would be easy was about to become very difficult indeed. The Emperor looked out at his city, his empire, his conquered worlds. For the first time in his life, he wondered if they would still be his tomorrow in 14 seconds. Everything had changed. The galaxy would never underestimate humanity again.